Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lou down here at Real Boxing Gym in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so, what I wanted to discuss for this video is that it's okay to make mistakes. The reason why I wanted to cover this topic is because boxing has come to have an air of perfection about it. Like everybody chasing the zero in terms of they want to be undefeated. To me, this can be deleterious to the sport in terms of having the ego, the perceived ego of the fighter, be extremely important. I've met a lot of fighters over the years who have said things like, "Well, I've never been down, I've never been hurt in the ring," or we get the obligatory guy that comes in off the street and says he's never lost a street fight. If you've never lost a street fight, you probably just haven't been in many street fights. But this all came to be in the forefront of my mind because I've been doing my best as an instructor lately to address anxieties that the young men I teach have. And a couple of days ago, I think last week, one of my students was doing a sparring exercise, like not full sparring, but a sparring exercise designed to make you better at sparring with another one of my more experienced students. Now, this student that I'm discussing has a lot of tension, and he puts a ton of mental pressure on himself. This is likely a result of how he was raised or wasn't raised. It gives him almost crippling anxiety sometimes. He's had a few mental shutdowns in other sparring sessions. I mean, equate this to doing literally any other thing in life, like you have mental shutdowns at work or you have mental shutdowns at school. You just can't go past a certain point because you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, right? Now, in boxing or in combat sports, this is 10 times more visceral because you're going to get punished immediately if that happens to you. You're going to get hit and you're going to get hurt. So what ends up happening is even when they're trying to do a light drill or sparring exercise, the guy who has the anxiety and the tension on his body is going to tend to step on the gas at inappropriate times or as a panic response to what he perceives as a threat, or not even a threat, but if he perceives that he's not doing good enough, they'll step on the gas unnecessarily. And it's not to say this happens only to inexperienced guys. It happens to experienced guys as well, except sometimes those guys do it for ego purposes. Like, oh, you think you're going to get the better of this? Well, let me beat you up a little bit. And that's not always necessary. And I try to educate my fighters on when that is and isn't necessary. But what ended up happening is he ended up giving the more experienced fighter a bloody nose. And this guy sometimes gets bad bloody noses. And he got incredibly frustrated and expressed his frustration. And at that moment, I saw like the downward spiral in real time. This guy started beating himself up, took all of his gear off, and really didn't want to further participate in the exercise. And both myself and my more experienced student, tried to just kind of tell him what he did wrong and give him ways to fix it. But I proposed making an adjustment to the exercise to where a bloody nose wouldn't happen again and that he continue and finish it. And he almost refused. He said, "I don't know if I can trust myself to even do that with the adjustment." That pretty much guaranteed it wouldn't happen again. He still thought he might mess up. And not only did he think he might mess up, he felt like he deserved to be punished for messing up the first time with non-participation, with I shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't even be part of this. And it made me wonder, like, how he was treated in his normal life whenever he made a mistake. And he told me it was pretty harsh from his family. Whenever teachers would contact his family, he wasn't treated very kindly in terms of his ability to make a mistake and learn from it and move forward. So essentially, my more experienced fighter and I, talked him up, built him up a little bit. No, we believe you can do this. You didn't mean to do the wrong thing the first time. So let's just give it a shot and see where it goes. And he agreed. He put the gear back on, finished the exercise, and nothing bad happened. This is a fairly common anxiety in young people today. What do I do if something goes wrong? Do I just quit? Do I not participate? Do I back off? It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to even make a bad mistake. As long as you own up to it, take your responsibility for it, which he did. I mean, he's not a dishonest actor. He's not a narcissist who's going to blame the other guy. In fact, he probably beat himself up a little too much. Which goes back to that he was never just told that it was all right. Like, hey, it's okay. You made a mistake. That's fine. This has actually happened numerous times with other students. It also happened in a sparring session last weekend at another gym. And that fighter also took it kind of harshly, and he also has anxiety issues. And I told him, hey, better this happens in the gym than in an actual fight. Like, at least it did happen in sparring. I've seen this kind of thing happen in actual fights where it feels way more important and has a harsher outcome. If you're imperfect, you can learn. If you try to portray perfection in terms of like you think you're somewhat already there and you hold yourself to that standard that's where you need to be, then you can't learn. There's nothing else to learn. Well, what can you be taught? So the point of this video is give yourself room to make mistakes. When you do, be honest about them and own up to them. Then continue and make an adjustment if you need to assure that it doesn't happen again. This way you can work with your coach, ask your coach if there's an adjustment you can make. Basically all we did was switch to completely body punching, no head punching. And he didn't trust himself to do that, but he did. He proved capable of doing it and was able to redeem himself in his own eyes, which is good. Now he knows that he can make a mistake and correct, which you can't become a great fighter without that. So, hope that gives you guys a bit of perspective on behavior in the gym. It's okay to make mistakes. Like I said, just take responsibility for it, own up to it, find a workaround that allows you to progress, and go from there. There's no need to think that you can't or shouldn't be able to make mistakes and keep going in the sport, or to exclude yourself, or to pretend you didn't. Making mistakes are part of life. It's part of boxing, it's part of life, it's part of MMA. It's going to happen in general. This is just about knowing how to handle it. Hope that helps, and see you next time.